I'm John Fensterwald, editorial writer for the San Jose Mercury News, and with me today is Teresa Alvarado, who is our community board member of the editorial board. Today we are interviewing candidates for Area 4 of the Santa Clara County Office of Education, which covers the San Jose Unified and Orchard School Districts. I want to thank the Silicon Valley Education Foundation for being our partner today, enabling us to put these interviews up on the web. We have three candidates running for Area 4, incumbent Gary Rummellhoff, Carol Myers, and Joseph Salvo. We want to thank them for coming. And so, Gary, why don't you start by just saying what you currently do, why you're running for office, and your qualifications.
Sure. Well, I am the incumbent. Last 4 years I've been on the board, the County Board of Education. In my day job, I'm the Chief Financial Officer and VP of Operations for United Way, Silicon Valley. I'm really running for the school board for a couple of reasons. I've always felt in my life that civic duty is an important part of one's life, getting involved for the common good for our community, and so I've demonstrated that over the years by getting involved with neighborhood associations, and prior to coming to the county board, I was on the school board at San Jose Unified for 8 years, and then 4 years here. But 4 years ago, I came also with a mission to the County Board of Education. I was concerned with the nature of the programs that were serving some of the most at-risk students in our community, whether they be those at risk of dropping out of school or those with special needs. I certainly had learned a lot about that from my time at San Jose Unified School District. And so I'm here. I want to continue on the board because much change has occurred in my first 4 years, but there's much more that needs to be done.
Thank you. Carol?
Okay. I am a retired high school teacher from Eastside Union High School District, 32 years, and I taught special education there, so I have a very, very strong special education background. Currently retired, but still very much involved in education, doing some subbing a little bit here and there, and then very involved with the Willow Glen Foundation, which is a foundation of parents and community members, raises money for the Willow Glen Middle and High School. And the main reason that I am running is I feel like I have a wealth of experience, 14 years on San Jose Unified School Board, and I just feel like with the background I have in special education, very involved with the at-risk youth programs, alternative ed, and I'm very familiar with the special education funding model or lack of. And so I just feel like Gary, having been involved in the community my entire life and as a teacher, it's I think important if you have people of experience and passion that want to get out there and work with children and help and do as much good as you can.
Thank you. Joseph?
Thank you to the San Jose Mercury News and to the Silicon Valley Education Foundation for the opportunity. My qualifications are 33 years as a public school administrator, 20 years as a principal, and 13 years as a teacher. As a teacher association president as well, and a president of my management associations. I write also for Silicon Valley community newspapers, or I did until I started running for this, where they said I had to stop writing my columns. I also teach at Santa Clara University in the Graduate School of Education for teachers and administrators getting their credential, either administrative credential or teaching credential. I think there's a real urgency of now. These are urgent times, and I think we must act with urgency about public education. And I am running to make a significant difference in the quality of public schools in Santa Clara County. I believe I have the knowledge and the experience to do so, and I look forward to the opportunity.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Gary mentioned much had changed in the past 4 years at the County Office of Education. Of course, one of the was somewhat turbulent times for a while. Carol, I wonder if you could address how do you think that the board handled the departure of the previous superintendent, Colleen Wilcox, and how do you think they did in choosing her successor, Chuck Weiss?
Well, I'd like to answer the latter question first because I had a chance to sit down with Dr. Weiss and talk to him, and I was very impressed with him. So I think the board did an outstanding job of selecting a replacement. In terms of what went on there, not being on the board at the time and not privy to it, I think, it all sort of kind of just erupted. And I think the Mercury did a very good job of, letting the public know what did go on. I had met Colleen Wilcox several times through various school board functions. I was somewhat shocked and taken aback that this kind of alleged behavior had apparently been going on for some time. And, I just felt like it was sad because I had talked to people that had worked in the county, and they had just mentioned a few really kind of unpleasant situations that had cropped up. And for whatever reason, the board can't be walking around micromanaging the county, but it seemed to me that there was something going on there for a significant period of time that simply wasn't addressed. For why, I do not know. But I am very happy, though, that Gary and his board have selected Dr. Weiss, because I think we need to look forward. What happened was very unfortunate. Certainly didn't help the County Office of Education's reputation, and there's a lot of fine people working there. So the one thing Dr. Weiss said when I chatted with him briefly, I said, "What do you see as the issues?" And he said, "Well, number one is to reestablish morale with the staff," and I thought that was obviously a very important thing. And I just think he's going to be very, very good, and just hopefully you don't have any kinds of episodes, because whenever you have to change superintendents, and particularly under these circumstances, it's very, very difficult, and the press gets out there and tells what's going on, and it doesn't look good, and it's just it's not good for the employees. But I think it was handled well, and we need to move on.
Thank you. Joseph, could you talk a little bit about the selection of Chuck Weiss, and also how the board handled the departure of Colleen Wilcox?
Well, I think there were many unfortunate circumstances involving Dr. Wilcox, and that had occurred, but that's neither here nor there at the present time. I do think, and I agree with Carol, the board has acted wisely to choose somebody of the stature of Dr. Weiss, and I also met with him for about an hour in his office in August, and was very impressed. My colleagues in the education world were impressed with what they know of him from Ventura, and I was personally very impressed with his knowledge and skills, and the issues that we need to deal with a sense of urgency for children of this county.
Thank you. Gary, looking back, are the lessons learned from the way the board handled that situation and chose Dr. Weiss?
And just to clarify, you were the chair of the board, I think, during the
Right.
transition.
Yeah, so I certainly know probably a lot more than I might even certainly could share, although I'll have to say the Mercury News certainly covered it in a lot of depth. My number one priority last year, as that all began to emerge and some issues here at the staff, was for the staff itself here at the County Office of Education. As both have pointed out, I mean, some very good people, employees at the county office, who really have their heart in the right place and the passion and the mission for the work. Equally important was, at a time like this, it was important to keep the board together. Oftentimes things can be done by majority vote, but I felt it was very important to have consensus at the board, and so that was certainly important to me. Unfortunately, I think we didn't have an opportunity to celebrate some of the successes Dr. Wilcox had, despite some issues. There were many things that did go well in 14 years that she was there, and I wish we had an opportunity to talk more about that. She moved them into a wonderful building not far from here, and had created some great programs and services. However, time to move on, and Dr. Chuck Weiss has been a great choice. Again, board consensus around his selection. We're excited about the future. This is a superintendent who's willing to step up and be held accountable for the work that he's doing. He also has an inspiring vision for this county, equal to the board's, and the 8 of us now have created quite a strong governance team, which would be my hope to keep that governance team in place right now during this time of change.
So Joseph, you've alluded to a crisis in our educational system and really coming to this election process with a sense of urgency. I want to ask you about the dropout rate of Hispanic